Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to get into a topic that I thought was very interesting in regards to just when people start to mature. And I noticed that a lot of times in this day and age, and this may have been the case way back, but I feel like it's more so in this day and age, is that people tend to mature when something happens inside their life. A major mistake or even just something that they weren't really prepared for. And I think that it's important for us to be in a state of where we try to mature before that. So one of the big factors that you see for a lot of people is it's when they lose their job and they realize they got to buckle down. Maybe they go through something where they're getting evicted. One of the biggest things too is when people have kids and then all of a sudden they're like forced to mature, and now it changes the way they want to select in terms of the way they go about things. Even in the dating world is a big thing where you see somebody who now they want to select differently than what they would have selected before they had kids. But just in general, that maturity shouldn't start when you make your first big mistake or one of your however many mistakes. It shouldn't start then. Like, this is something that I think, like I said, it happens too often. I think that a lesson to be learned from seeing others is, don't let that be the time that you now change your ways, change your habits, because it had to cost you something, and it's different when it comes to, say, a lesson learned that you didn't know of. And I'm not speaking on that. There are things that a person they don't have the experience for, so they learn something and now they have to overcome it, and now they're smarter for it. But that's different than if their decisions they're always with the mature type. They always were focused, but then something they encountered, they didn't know better, and then something happened that went wrong with it. That's different than, say, if I use the job example, there's a person who is maybe they have this carefree life. They're not buckling down. They live with their family, live with their parents, or something like that, and they're not buckling down with it comes to holding down a good job. They just have some kind of basic job because they're just like, hey, it's part-time, it's carefree, I can go have fun. But all of a sudden now their parents kick them out of the house or something like that. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, now I gotta pay bills, everything is so much harder. Now I gotta get my life straightened. And it's like, well, if you were being mature before that, you probably would have had a better setup, so that way when it was time for you to go into the real world, you were ready for it. Or another example too, like I said earlier, is kids. You have a lot of times people who, the way they're selecting partners, they really don't care. This person's fun, this person's cool, they're charismatic, they're this and that. You're not selecting off the things that make somebody a good father, a good partner, a good long time, person to be with. Then all of a sudden you have a kid, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, this person is not helping, this person's not doing this, and now I got all this weight on my own. Now I want to look for a partner who is going to be around, who's going to take care of me, who's going to help me out, who's going to be maybe a good dad to my kid now. It's like, no, you chose someone already, and that was what you chose. Now you're trying to be mature after the fact. So those are two examples, but just in general, just definitely a life lesson to learn that don't mature, don't wait till something major happens to decide it's time to mature. That should be something that you learn to do way before that, because maturing is not, it's an age, it's not a circumstance. That is not how maturity comes about. Anyway, you guys, let me know down below your comments, your thoughts. Put them down below, as I said, and I'd love to have a discussion on that. As always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.